Assalamualaikum and good day. For chapter 4, we will learn about employee selection. What is employee selection? So, employee selection actually is the actual process of choosing people for employment from a pool of applicants. The model for recruiting and hiring effective and productive employee actually is quite simple. So it consists of two categories of variables, which is criteria and also predictor. For criteria are measure of the success. So measure of the job success that typically related to the job performance. Okay, so the second criteria is predictor. So this predictor actually is any pieces of information that we are able to measure about job applicants that are related to the criterion. So in this employee selection, we will measure the predictors such as job-related knowledge and expertise, or education and also the skills in effort to predict who will be successful in a given job. This figure shows a model for employee selection through evaluation of resumes and hiring interview performance, and also from the result of employment tests, applicants are measured on a number of predictors. These predictor variables are then used to select applicants for jobs. So the evaluation of the success of an employee selection program involves demonstrating that the predictor do indeed predict the criterion of success on the job. Employee recruitment is the process by which organization attract potential workers to apply for a job. So the greater numbers of organizations actually are developing strategic program for recruitment. The starting point for a good recruitment program is an understanding of the job and what kind of worker characteristics that are required to perform the job. So actually there are a variety of employee recruitment methods such as advertisement, college recruitment program, employment agency, and employee referral. For recruitment methods is divided to two types of methods. The first one is formal or direct, and the second one is informal or indirect. For the formal or direct methods, the example is media advertisement, direct email, and also some of company also go to the university, okay, for recruit employee, and computer database, employee referral program, and another methods is informal or indirect method. This is example is direct application, okay, employee referral, also situation and wanted ads. Okay, this is the example of the advertisement for recruit employee for some companies. In employee recruitment, there is an important factor that may help alleviate potential misperception. This is, we call it as a realistic job preview or RGP. So this RGP is an accurate description of the duties and responsibilities of a particular job. Okay, so the realistic job preview can take the form of an oral presentation from a recruiter, supervisor, or job incumbent, and also can be a visit to the job site or a discussion in a brochure, manual, video, or company website. This RGP, these RGPs, it will help increase the satisfaction and also decrease the turnover of new employees. Who will be the employee recruiters? So the recruiters sometimes based on the campus recruiters, outside recruiters, or employment agency and search firms. This is like the private employment agencies, executive search firms, and public employment commission. And sometimes many companies also involve in the job fair event. In 2010, about 90% of employers plan to invest significantly in internet recruiting. So the three common internet methods, first is employer-based website. So the example here, right, the normal website of the company, and then the company blogs, and also the YouTube. Second one is job boards. The third one is using the social media like Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, and now the famous one is Instagram, right? Or the blogs and also the podcast. Some companies over incentive to attract their job applicant. So, give the employee bonus, relocation, vacation, flexible schedule, and also the educational assistance. Next is about structured interviews. Interview differ in three ways. So the first is based on the structure of that interview. The first is in unstructured interview and second is structured interview. And the second one is how is the medium interview will be conducted. The first is face-to-face interview by telephone, video conference, or in written interviews. And the third one is how is the style of the interview? One on one, or serial, or written, or panel, or the last one by a group interview. How is the optimal employee selection system? The first criteria is to be valid. So best this employee selection can be valid if the selection is doing based on the job analysis. So there is content validity there, and also based on the prediction of work related behavior or the criterion validity. And the second one is can reduce the chance of a legal challenge. So it can be conduct based on the face valid, don't infect privacy, don't intentionally discriminate, and minimize the adverse impact. And the last one is are the costs effective or not? So this cost is regarding to the cost to purchase or create, cost to administer, and cost to score. Structured interview will be optimal because they are reliable, valid, and not as prone to legal challenge. And then this is because they also are based on job analysis, ask the same question of each applicant, and have a standardized scoring procedure. This is some of the structured interview goals. So the first one is to understand the applicant, to predict the job performance, and to predict organizational fit. And the last one is to sell the organization to the applicant. What is employee screening? So employee screening is the process of reviewing information about job applicants to select individual for job. A wide variety of data sources such as resumes, job application, letter of recommendation, employment tests, and hiring interview can be used in screening and selecting potential employee. So if you have ever applied for a job, you have had first-hand experience with some of these. The basic background information can be translated into numerical values to compare the qualification of applicants through the use of weightage application form or biographical information blank. Employee screening also involves a reference and letter of recommendation. So these such sources can provide information about how is the employment and your educational history, the evaluation of the applicant's character, evaluation of the applicant's job performance, and the recommender's willingness to rehire the applicant. So the use of this method is on the decline because they tend to be overly positive and are often uninformative. After the evaluation of the biographical information available from resumes, application form, and other sources, then the second step in screening is employee testing. So this is typically uses standardized instrument to measure the characteristics that are predictive of job performance. Any screen test or method must demonstrate that it is a reliable and valid predictor of job performance. What is reliable? Okay, so reliable is refers to the stability of a measure over time or the consistency of the measure. Okay. So for example, if we administer a test to a job applicant, so we will expect to get essentially the same score on the test if it is taken at two different points of time. So the applicant didn't do anything to improve test performance in between. So the measurement that instrument that is reliable if it repeatedly gives the same or similar result when applied repeatedly to the same quantity. And meanwhile, for valid is a measurement instrument that is accurately measuring what it purports to measure. A variety of methods are used for estimating the reliability of a screening instrument. One method is called as test-retest reliability. So here, a particular test or other measurement instrument is administered to the same individual at two different times. So usually, this involving a 1 to 2 week interval between testing session. Okay, and a second method is a parallel form method. So for this method, establishing the reliability of a measurement instrument by correlating score on two different but equivalent versions of the same instrument. And the last method is internal consistency. So for this internal consistency is a common method of establishing measurement instruments reliability by examining how the various items of the instrument intercorrelate. And the two forms of validity that are most important for development and use of screening tests are first is content validity and the second one is criterion related validity. Employee screening tests vary greatly in format and in characteristic they measure. So categories of such tests include cognitive ability tests, mechanical ability tests, motor and sensor ability tests, job skill and knowledge tests, personality tests, and miscellaneous instruments such as a polygraph. So these standardized tests are often used in combination, example in test batteries to help select the best qualified candidate. This figure shows us a sample item from the Bennett test of mechanical comprehension. So this BMCT is one of example to test the mechanical ability. This BMCT is such commonly used instrument. So it consists of 68 items each of which requires the application of a physical law or a mechanical operation. So this VMCT also the best single predictor of job performance for a group of employees manufacturing like electromechanical component. And a UK military study also found that a mechanical comprehension test predicted recruit abilities to handle weapon. So this is some of the item that asked in the Bennett test of mechanical comprehension. This is example of item to test the personality. So this from California Psychological Inventory Instrument by Harrison. So you can see here, this is one of the item that they ask to test the personality. An important issue regarding the effectiveness of employee screen tests is validity generalization. So a test ability to predict job performance in setting different from the one in which it was validated. And another concern is about the test utility. So this is an estimate of the dollars gained in increased productivity and efficiency because of the use of screening tests. A final issue concerning testing is the issue of faking. So faking is trying to beat the test by distorting responses to the test in an effort to present oneself in a positive, socially desirable way. So this faking is a particular concern for personality and integrity tests. And one of the most detailed forms of employment screening and selection take place in an assessment center. So this assessment center offer a detailed structured evaluation of applicant on a wide range of job related knowledge, skills and also abilities. This is an example of one popular situational exercise is the in-basket test. So it requires the applicant to deal with a stack of memos, letters and other materials that have supposedly collected in the in-basket of a manager. Employment screening for most jobs includes at least one hiring interview. So this is a measurement tool just like any other screening device. But unfortunately, research indicates that a hiring interview generally have low levels of reliability and also validity. So one of the greatest sources of problem with hiring interviews stem from interviewer bias. This is some of statistical model of decision making. First is the multiple regression model. So this is an approach that allows predictors to be combined statistically. Second one is the multiple cut-off strategy. This is a method of setting minimum cut-off score for each predictor. And the last one is the multiple hurdle approach. This is a stringent method that uses an ordered sequence of screening devices. This is an example of multiple hurdle model for policy officer selection. Regardless of the screening and selection procedure used, an overriding concern in all personal decision is to protect against discrimination in employment. The Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission (EEOC) has established guidelines to ensure against discrimination against ethnic minorities and other protected groups. So to take preventive steps to avoid employment discrimination, many organizations have adopted affirmative action plans to ensure jobs are made available to members of protected groups. This is federal laws and key court cases affecting employment. So we can see here from the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it protects against employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So this led to establishment of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the federal body that enforces the law. And you can see here another laws that affecting the employment, like Age Discrimination in Employment Act, Alabama Pepper Company, EEOC Uniform Guideline, and Civil Rights Act of 1991, and etc. So that's all for the chapter employment selection. So thank you. Assalamualaikum.